With the conclusion of Hidden Inventory, it's pretty fair to say that we are really entering a new era in Jujutsu Kaisen. And ironically, we are already in that era as of season one, but we didn't quite understand why or know how. And this era can really trace its way back to Toji versus Gojo. This fight is hyper important to the whole of the series for various reasons, and I thought we should cover that as we go forward now. One of the first things that Toji versus Gojo really establishes for the whole of Jujutsu Kaisen is the idea of cursed techniques and cursed energy versus human evolution. Because that's really what Toji is. He's essentially so removed from cursed energy that he is so evolved as a human that he barely qualifies as human anymore. He can move superhumanly fast, he can cover great distances, he has senses so powerful that they can see and hear cursed spirits and they can pick up human residuals. That is just so far beyond our current understanding of humans. And as a small spoiler, I'm not going to reveal any major details, but we find out later through some other characters that these abilities actually go farther, farther than we even possibly conceive at this point with Toji. And now, the idea of comparing cursed energy and cursed techniques to this new evolved form of humans is important, and it's first established here. So really, this kicks off our whole idea of like how important Maki is going to be, and kind of also the idea of what happens if somebody starts to mess with the boundaries between humanity and curses and evolution, which also is a major point in the series later on. Now, the second thing that this fight really introduced us to is the concept of the Honored One. Now, this probably deserves its own video, and I might cover that later down the line, but the Honored One is something that will pop up repeatedly throughout the series, and ironically, we actually should have gotten a reference to this in first season, but due to some miscommunication and some misinterpretation, it actually didn't come out that way. So officially, the first time that the Honored One concept is referenced is during the fight between Toji and Gojo. But as the series would progress, very few characters really make reference to anyone else in regards to this concept. As a matter of fact, only three characters are referred to as Honored Ones. That would be Toji, probably the least powerful of the three, and then Sukuna and Gojo. Now, these three being on the same list should really tell you something. This is almost a state of ascension. It's taking, as we said, a state of evolution before, but it's progressing. It's taking an ability to a level that many didn't even think was possible. And that's kind of important because that is both the staple of both Riem and Sukuna and Gojo and Toji. Now, could we see this term applied to other character mainstays like Megami or, Yuji? Possibly. There's no hard definition of this term. We just know it as people who transcend their limitations and essentially become whole other figures almost when at the height of their power. So it is more than possible that these characters and other characters can join this list. But it's really first referenced here, and it will be very important going on. This fight also goes a long way into character development for Satoru Gojo. This is the first time that he was really humbled. I mean, he always knew he was special. He was raised as the pride of the Gojo clan. He was basically taught that there was no limitation to what he was, and having a curse technique called the Limos probably helped with this. And many characters remark on his arrogance and self assurance. Gato is one of them, the principal, everyone. And it's not necessarily unearned, but he isn't as invincible as he thinks he is. And while there are very few that can actually challenge his massively powerful defenses, Toji was one of them. And the fact that Toji was able to do this almost through pure planning and the use of one admittedly very powerful curse tool was terrifying in some ways to Gojo. I mean, it did spur him into a state of evolution of his own. It forced him to condense the abilities of his technique, using red and blue almost instantaneously and together. It also caused him to perfect the limitless to make it an invincible and constantly running force field around himself. The Gojo that we know today could not exist without this possibility. And that possibility, the possibility of defeat and the idea of fear, is also important because it adds a real sense of danger for Gojo going into the Shibuya incident. if you don't know what happens, I'm not spoiling it. But the contest in this coming arc of right and wrong and curse versus sorcerer is going to be very challenging for all of the characters. And if you've seen first season already, you know why. But there are plans, and Gojo may or may not do well with them. And they do take the bad guys by surprise on some of the plans. But on the whole of it, Gojo needed to be established as a person, not necessarily an omnipotent being here. Even though this arc is the reason we view him as an omnipotent being, he's actually not perfect, and that will play a large part going forward. Now, this fight did a lot for another person, and it's ironic that that person is Toji. But Toji, while being important to the whole of the series, is in a very particular place, being dead. So, why would his evolution, his proof that he can be so powerful, be important? Well, the simple answer is it's important for Maki. Maki has the exact same heavenly restriction that he does. And for us as the audience to know that there is a much higher peak that she can reach, that there is a level she can transcend to that would make her better than most sorcerers, that's important. It tells us so much about Maki's potential future. And understanding that is going to be pivotal moving forward in the series. But the idea that Maki, who, while extremely powerful, lost to Suguru Gato, and she has, kind of never beaten anybody on the special grade level, and really, from what we've seen, probably couldn't compete necessarily with a first grade, going to the level of somebody who humbled the two strongest sorcerers at Jujutsu High seems far fetched. But there is now the possibility. We know that her powers can be greatly expanded upon, that she can be faster than a human can perceive, that she will have senses far greater than that of, to be frank, what most sorcerers can detect with their abilities. Understanding this gives us a path forward for her as well as for our sorcerer heroes going forward. So this fight did a lot more for multiple characters than just allowing us to see an awesome battle. And yes, this did let us see an awesome battle, and it is still one of the best in the whole of the series. But let me know what you think this fight did for the series and who you think would win in a fight now.